Hi there. Today's a update on the economic termites. Today we're going to focus on taxes. There's been some smoke, if you will. Like I always say, if there's smoke, there's fire. Anytime you start hearing things about inflation, taxes, laws and regulations, whether they say it's not going to be it's not going to happen, or they haven't fully committed to it, or whatever the case may be, the key here is they're starting to talk about it and they're thinking about it. And this isn't a new situation. I'm going to minimize myself. According to The Hill, there's an exclusive Democrats exploring Patriot Tax. Now, what I don't like about this particular article and what they're talking about this tax is that they're trying to get the American society to believe that, hey, if you're wealthy, you should care about America and you should pay more in taxes. Okay? And so let's walk through this article and they're talking about taxing multimillionaires and their wealth. This was an article that was just published yesterday on The Hill. Let's see, Thomas Susie, a Democrat in New York, member of the Tax Writing House Ways and Means Committee, said that he's exploring the idea of a one-time tax on the wealth of the richest Americans, as Democrats seek to increase taxes on the rich in order to pay for spending. Well, first of all, if they're talking about one time, well, what happens if their wealth grows another time, right? The multimillionaires, the wealthy, the billionaires, their wealth is increasing. It increases in good times and bad times. It's because they understand how the rules are laid out, how assets work, everything that we've been teaching you on not just channel, but all of our other things that we do at Terra Firma Business and Financial Consultants is trying to help you understand, hey, the assets are key. Understanding how assets work and how the rules and the IRS views those assets, that's key. So I find this a joke, a one-time tax. Okay, that's fine. Basically, it's a Band-Aid for them, right? In an interview in The Hill Friday, he says in the early stages of looking at what he called the Patriot Tax, this would be a one-time surcharge of 2.5% on wealth between 50 million and 100 million, and a 5% tax on wealth above 100 million. Wealthy people would be able to pay for the tax over 5 years. Geez, thanks. And here's the thing, is after the 5 years, are you going to reassess me? Is this like property taxes where you're going to reassess the value over a period of time? How are you going to do this? And why 2.5%? What's the magic about 2.5% and 5%? And so the difficult thing here for me to swallow is that if this becomes okay with the ultra millionaires, which, you know, they're trying to cover where everybody, the majority, the 99% of the population is like, yeah, go tax those people. Well, they're all business owners. They all run and own the businesses that most employees, the 99%, work in. Okay? Now, here's the other aspect, is that if they are okay with that, it's like a frog boiling in a pot of water, right? If you have a pot of water boiling, you throw a frog in there, it's leaping out. But if you put a frog in the water before it's boiling and you turn it on and the frog stays in there while it gets hotter, while it starts boiling, and it boils to death. Why? Because it's comfortable. And that's what they're trying to accomplish with this particular tax issue. Rather than looking at the problem in their spending, research provided by his office estimates that such tax would raise about $450 billion. Yeah, we believe what estimates what the government would look at. $450 billion. Okay. They're just issuing this month $400 billion of bonds, U.S. bonds. So that's going to cover what? You're going to have a $50 million in surplus based on you issuing $400 billion in bonds. So it's your spending that's the problem. It's not the tax revenue. It's your spending as a government. But we won't address that. The surcharge he's exploring with reflect the fact that many wealthy Americans were less hurt by the corona pandemic than people with less income, because that's your fault. You're the ones that created this pandemic. You're the ones that created the fear and the craziness that's going on and shutting down a lot of these businesses and people not being able to work. We all know that people who are wealthy did very well during the pandemic, and people who were low income did not do well. He said that for wealthy people, the surcharge would be a way to help your country to build back better. Come on, guys, bring it in. Everybody, on the count of 3, let's do this. Taxes, right? I mean, come on. He's yet to introduce the legislation, so this is just an idea, but he's floating the idea in the media to start having this conversation. The Biden administration has not endorsed this proposal for wealth tax, and the idea would be sure to face opposition in the Republican House, of course. Let's see here. The revenue tax could help offset the cost of President Biden's infrastructure proposals, as well as restoring the full state of local tax deduction. All right. Okay, if you think so. He spoke on the Hill days after ProPublica published a report detailing how prominent U.S. billionaires pay little in taxes when compared to their wealth gains. The U.S. federal tax system is based on income, not wealth. So here's a distinction we want to understand. Okay, we've been hearing all this rhetoric, well, the wealthy don't pay income taxes. Well, of course they don't, because they understand how assets work. It's the way the tax system works when it comes to income. You've heard us say before, and if you haven't, go check out some of our videos. The way it works is that you have your assets create income, and that income flows through the personal tax return. And that's how you pay your income taxes. So if at the corporate level, if nothing's flowing through to the individual, there's no taxation. Okay, and assets are taxed differently. They're taxed at capital gains. Okay, and so that's a big understanding. So they're talking about a wealth tax, not an estate tax. Now you don't have to die for this; you have to live for this one. Okay, so but bring it in because you're a patriot and you're going to help us all out. Okay, let's see here. Biden has called for paying for his two proposals. Proposed packages would combine to $4 trillion would increase tax income households and corporations. Okay, they've just issued $4 trillion a year within the last year. Now they're talking about another $4 trillion. Okay, let's put this in perspective. Let me do something here. I'm going to minimize this, and I wasn't planning on doing this, but I'm going to do this. Let's go here, usdebtclock.org. If you haven't seen this before, check it out. It's pretty spectacular. We're at $28 trillion right now, okay? Now, a year ago, we were at 22, okay? Now, look at the amount of gross domestic product, okay? 22 trillion. So we've got a $6 trillion issue. Now, they're talking about adding another $4 trillion, so that's $32 trillion. If we were to break this down per taxpayer, that means $226,000 of debt per taxpayer. Per citizen's $85,000. Okay, that's a Tesla. That's a nice car. Right? Versus revenue per citizen, not per taxpayer, per citizen is $10,000. So if you're entering the year with $85,000 in debt and you're only bringing in $10,000, that's a math problem. Right? We got a math problem. So I understand why they want to raise taxes because they need to increase revenue. But time out. How about you stop spending? How about you create opportunities and not put so much money? The reason why we have inflation is you guys are flooding the market with dollars. Our dollar's devalued, so now people can't go to Europe. They can't go travel because it's more expensive. So we're affecting those other countries with our low valuation of our dollar. Okay? And this is a problem. This is a big, big problem. And when inflation increases, interest rates are going to increase to try to combat inflation. And when interest rates go up, look at how much debt our country has. $28 trillion. So that we're going to have to pay interest on that debt. Let's take a look at this. Where is it? Interest on the debt. Total U.S. debt, $86 trillion. Okay? Interest paid, $3.8 trillion. So if interest rates go up, guess what? That's going up because the cost of our debt goes up. So we have an issue here, folks, and I don't think it's really tax revenue. Yes, it's probably good to get some tax revenue coming in the door, but we have a spending problem. And we got to get a hold of that. And a lot of our politicians have been in public in office for quite some time, and yet there continues to be issues, and now all of a sudden they're going to come up with good ideas. Hey, good luck with that. I appreciate that. And go Patriots, right? Let's go Americans. Let's bring it in, and let's pay higher taxes because it's good for the country.